I never thought about this. ESPN's Ben Baby, whoever that is, that's a fresh name, has come under fire on social media from WNBA fans after he raised questions about why reporters are denied access to locker rooms for post-game player interviews. Now, immediately you start thinking he's trying to get the Freaka League on. You know what I'm saying? You're thinking Petey Pablo over here, like Freaka League. No, ESPN's Ben Baby has drawn significant backlash for questioning the policy of the WNBA's locker room access. All right, it still remains wholly ridiculous that the WNBA doesn't have an open locker room media policy. He covers the Cincinnati Bengals for ESPN. The only major sport in the U.S. that doesn't have it. Bad for the fans and growth for the game. While Baby's intention was to argue that greater locker room access for reporters would help boost the WNBA's popularity, I don't see how it hurts. Think about it. If you get those immediate emotional comments from athletes before they get a time to clean up not only their bodies, but their minds, they get time away. The longer you let them get away, the more calculated they're going to become, right? You're not going to get that primal lizard brain response you want. You're going to get that, well, my publicist has already called me on the way home and I know what to say now. We don't want that. We want that. What's the difference? Really, what's the difference? Diana Rossini, women reporters are walking in there where there's 3 legs hanging. What you doing? If y'all can walk in on us, guess what? We can walk in on you. Oh, you don't want it that way. Well, guess what? You also not going to get the same level of respect, right? Why you think gangs always jumpy? I ain't perverted. I don't care that much. But if you gonna say it was good for the goose, ain't good for the gander, guess what? When it comes time to give out credit, respect, praise, we ain't giving it out the same because y'all don't even want to be respected the same. The cost of praise is criticism. The cost of being great is you're gonna have to risk it all and maybe be bad. Either it's gonna be a home run or that same swing is a what? It's a little deeper. So the season kicked off Friday night, New York Liberty comfortably defeating the Connecticut Sun. Look, if y'all gonna be really a big time league, I don't know. These nicknames ain't it. Anyway, in a game that saw veteran guard Julia Vanloo, she nearly recorded a triple-double for the Liberty despite only joining the team that same day. I'm about to say, why are you talking about an almost triple-double? She just got there. She don't even know the plays. Good stuff. All right, following day, Caitlin Clark played down an injury scare after the fever. She revealed that her back got examined. Had a good joke in there, but I don't think it's appropriate. By medical staff during the season opening loss to the Dallas Wings. But I'm also compelled to always tell y'all what I'm thinking. I thought it was gonna say got a back blew out. I said, what? Let me stop.
A male ESPN reporter just demanded access to the WNBA locker room while female athletes are changing clothes. And the backlash exposed a double standard so massive it's tearing the entire sports world apart right now. Listen, the mainstream sports media has completely lost its mind. For 25 years, they treated women's basketball like garbage, buried WNBA highlights at midnight, gave these athletes zero coverage, zero respect, zero attention. But now that the league is exploding into this multi-million-dollar cultural phenomenon, now that arenas are selling out and TV ratings are shattering records, suddenly, these same media vultures want VIP access to every single detail of these women's lives. They want the drama, the breakdowns, the viral moments. And in their desperate, ravenous quest for clicks and engagement, one ESPN reporter just crossed a line so fundamental and tone-deaf that it ignited a digital firestorm across the entire sports landscape. We're talking about Ben Baby, an ESPN reporter whose job is covering the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a football guy who decided to parachute into women's basketball discourse with the worst take in journalism history. He logged onto social media and declared, quote, "It still remains wholly ridiculous that the WNBA does not have an open locker room media policy. The only major sport in the US that does not have it. Bad for fans and the growth of the game." Let those words sink in for a moment. This man called it wholly ridiculous that female athletes are allowed to take off their sweaty jerseys, receive medical treatment, and step into a shower without male reporters standing 3 feet away with cameras and microphones. He tried to disguise his professional entitlement as some crusade for the fans, as if the only thing holding the WNBA back from global domination was journalists being unable to ambush players while they're wrapping towels around their waists. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Former NFL player Marcellus Wiley stepped up and explained the dark psychological truth behind what reporters actually want. And it's entirely driven by the Caitlin Clark economy. Wiley broke it down perfectly. If you get those immediate emotional comments from athletes before they get time to clean up not only their bodies but their minds, you get that primal lizard brain response. The longer you let them get away, the more calculated they become. You get that, "Oh well, my publicist called me on the way home and I know what to say now." That right there is the unspoken truth nobody wants to admit. The media ecosystem is addicted to drama. They don't want professional answers from press conferences. They want raw, unfiltered emotional breakdowns. They want to record hushed, tense conversations between teammates after brutal losses. They want to capture the tears, the anger, the vulnerability. They want to turn the WNBA locker room into reality television, because reality TV generates massive engagement and advertising revenue. Now listen to this part. If you've never been inside a professional sports locker room, let me paint you the real picture. It's not some VIP lounge where athletes sip champagne and give interviews. The locker room immediately following a professional basketball game is a medical triage center. These women just spent 40 minutes sprinting up and down hardwood, taking elbows to the face, pushing their bodies to the absolute brink of human endurance. When they drag themselves off that court running on pure adrenaline and fumes, they're immediately swarmed by medical staff. Trainers are working on severe muscle cramps. Players are stripping off layers of heavy athletic tape. They're plunging their battered bodies into freezing ice baths just to stop the swelling and inflammation. This is a sanctuary of recovery and medical treatment. To suggest that reporters should barge into this hyper-vulnerable environment, demanding quotes about missed free throws, while female players are barely clothed and wincing in physical agony, is absolutely barbaric. But get this, just as the internet was preparing to destroy this ESPN reporter forever, the plot twist happened, and it exposed a double standard so uncomfortable it completely silenced the WNBA fanbase. Marcellus Wiley dropped a historical reality check that demolished the entire argument. He looked into the camera and asked the most devastating question possible. "Women reporters are walking in there where there are 3 legs hanging. What are you doing? If y'all can walk in on us, guess what? We can walk in on you." Boom, checkmate. Let's do a massive reality check here. In the 1970s and 80s, female sports reporters fought brutal legal and social battles for the exact right to enter male locker rooms. They argued successfully that restricting their access put them at severe professional disadvantages compared to their male colleagues. And for the last 40 years, female reporters have been walking into NFL, NBA, and MLB locker rooms, while massive professional male athletes are standing there completely naked, wearing nothing but towels. Here's the kicker. If it's perfectly acceptable, legally mandated, and celebrated as equality for female reporters to walk into locker rooms full of naked male NBA players, why is it suddenly a creepy violation of privacy for male reporters to enter WNBA facilities? You can't have it both ways. As Wiley said, if you're gonna say what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander, guess what? When it comes time to give out credit, respect, and praise, we're not giving it out the same. The WNBA is demanding billions in television rights and supermax contracts, but the cost of being at the pinnacle of professional sports has always been complete, total, and terrifying transparency. The NBA and NFL surrendered their privacy for the billions. The media is telling the WNBA, you want the gangster money, you provide the gangster access. Hold up, did you catch what happened next? Because this completely changed the trajectory of the entire debate. The defense of the double standard backfired spectacularly. Fans didn't just reject the idea for the WNBA. They rejected the entire premise of locker room access across all sports. People began pointing out that just because the NBA and NFL have operated this invasive way for decades doesn't mean it's right, ethical, or necessary. Even the biggest stars in the world hate this policy. NFL superstar Travis Kelce recently spoke out, explicitly stating how incredibly awkward, uncomfortable, and violating it is when media floods the locker room while men are trying to put on their pants. If male athletes completely despise the policy, why would anyone push to force this horrific, outdated tradition onto WNBA women? And here's what nobody's talking about. The WNBA is standing at a monumental crossroads right now. For the first time in history, they have real leverage. Sports networks are desperate for their content. The league can set a completely new, modern standard for sports journalism. They can ban reporters from the medical sanctuary forever, forcing them to use press conferences and formal interviews. And you know what's wild? The NBA and NFL might actually follow their lead. Players in those leagues are watching this debate closely because they're sick of the invasive access too. The era of entitled sports journalism demanding access to vulnerable, private moments is coming to an end. And the women of the WNBA have the power to drive the final nail into that coffin. So there you have it. A male reporter's tone-deaf demand for locker room access exposed a massive double standard, sparked a league-wide debate about privacy versus equality, and might actually revolutionize how all professional sports handle media relations. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about dignity, respect, and whether athletes deserve basic privacy during their most vulnerable moments. The WNBA has a chance to lead a movement that protects all athletes across every sport. So here's my question for you. Do you agree with Marcellus Wiley that true equality means open locker rooms for everyone, or do you believe locker rooms should remain private medical sanctuaries? Drop your raw, unfiltered opinion in the comments right now. Don't hold back. If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this debate is just getting started. I'll see you in the next one. But wait, there's another layer to this story that's absolutely mind-blowing. Because while everyone was arguing about locker room access, the real power players behind the scenes were making moves that nobody saw coming. We're talking about the billion-dollar media conglomerates who actually control the narrative. ESPN's parent company, Disney, just signed a massive 12-year deal with the WNBA worth over $2 billion. And here's the dirty secret. They're not just buying basketball games. They're buying drama, controversy, and behind-the-scenes content that keeps people glued to their screens for hours. The Ben Baby controversy wasn't some random reporter going rogue. This was a calculated test balloon to see how far they could push the boundaries of access in the new WNBA economy. Think about it. Disney owns ESPN, ABC, and a dozen streaming platforms. They need content that generates endless social media clips, reaction videos, and viral moments. A boring press conference where Caitlin Clark gives politically correct answers about teamwork doesn't move the needle. But raw, emotional footage of her breaking down after a devastating loss, that's content gold worth millions in advertising revenue. Here's where it gets absolutely insane. Major sports networks are already planning reality TV-style programming around WNBA players. We're talking about Netflix-style documentaries with unprecedented behind-the-scenes access, Amazon Prime series following players' personal lives, and Apple TV exclusive content that makes Hard Knocks look like amateur hour. The locker room debate isn't really about journalism ethics. It's about establishing legal precedent for cameras to invade every aspect of these women's professional lives. And the timing of this controversy is no coincidence. The WNBA Players Association is currently negotiating their new collective bargaining agreement. Media access clauses are buried deep in those contracts, and the language being proposed right now would give networks permission to film in areas that have traditionally been off-limits. The players are being told that surrendering their privacy is the price of finally getting paid like the superstars they are. But here's the plot twist that nobody anticipated. Several WNBA superstars are quietly organizing behind the scenes to reject the entire framework. Aja Wilson, Breena Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu have been holding private meetings about creating their own media company that controls their image and narrative. They've watched how male athletes got trapped in exploitative media relationships, and they're determined to write their own rules. The real question isn't whether male reporters should access women's locker rooms. The real question is whether any reporters should have that level of invasive access to any athletes, regardless of gender. And the WNBA might be the catalyst that finally forces the entire sports world to evolve beyond these archaic, predatory practices that treat professional athletes like zoo animals performing for public entertainment.